Hey guys, Sugar Grandpa John coming at you with another Awaken Chaos Era video, guys. So in today's video, what we're going to be talking about is going to be the Queen of Tides. Now, I know there's been a lot of people that slowly kind of figure out strats for getting this to work, what they've done, kind of what things to note. So for example, I just want to show you, I did finally complete stage 12 of the Queen of Tides. This was not as easy as I had hoped, honestly. And I honestly ended up going with this team. It's here, as you can see. Key things to note real quick, guys, is the spells. So the Water Prison is absolutely probably the best and most detrimental spell in this whole lineup, honestly. The Gaia Renewal, yeah, it did help. I don't think it was absolutely necessary. We could probably get away without using it if we were to use, like, say, bring in like the decreased defense or something like that. Would probably be okay. But the biggest thing is that Water Prison. Now, yes, I do understand you cannot stun the boss, but just this remove all of their positive effects makes a massive, massive difference when battling the Queen of Tides. And the reason being is if we go into the Queen of Tides here and we see what her abilities are, the one, the water shield is, yeah, we all know that's not very fun. It'll decrease or remove that. She also has a Blessing of the Goddess, which I believe is like a defense up, which makes it a little bit harder for really like destroying her, because she gets so many buffs on her that you can't like just DPS her straight down. Now, I know a lot of people have been able to do that, but they, you know, when you look at their lineups, they've got, you know, like Evelyn, they've got everyone else, they've got all the massive legendaries. So I didn't really want to try that route because honestly, I don't have the massive legendaries. For the most part, this team that I'm using is fairly free to play. I mean, the only character that's not really free to play is Blackhorn, guys. And the reason why Blackhorn wasn't is because I got him through the battle pass. So if you were privy to playing the game at the very start of the soft launch, the magic pass here, as you can see here, Tia was this second one for the winter magic pass. The first magic pass actually gave us Blackhorn. Now, that wasn't all that good to begin with because Blackhorn was kind of a black sheep. He was not a very good character, not very strong, not useful. They did a revamp on him, they reworked his kit, now he's super useful, and now we're able to do the Queen of Tides stage 12 because we have Blackhorn, Hakrin, Zatlux, and Santis. Now, some things I do want to show you real quick before we dive into too much further is Santis is not fully ascended. That's another big thing. I know a lot of people were saying like, hey, you need to make sure your Santis is, you know, fully ascended here. By that, I mean, you need to come down here to Ascension 5 so that she does those extra poisons. That does help. Don't get me wrong. It would be very beneficial if you did this just because it does guarantee you more poisons. It's going to make your run times quicker, but it's not needed. That's the biggest thing I want to note here is you didn't have to have this. There are a few things I will point out that you kind of really do need to have and some things that you really need to focus on. And I'm actually going to do another video here very soon, kind of breaking down a few other aspects that I was able to figure out because of struggling so hard on this. So let's go ahead and show you with what I'm running and my stats. And that way you kind of have a good baseline of, okay, if I hit this or go above it, then you'll be able to go forward on the Queen of Tide. Okay. So let's start with the legendary Blackhorn here. One thing to note, every single character's abilities are fully maxed out. That's fairly easy to do, but you definitely need to have all their abilities maxed out. Glyphs wise, they're not. Notice I don't even have any of his level 5 glyphs on. If I go to info page here, we're sitting at about 17k HP. I would like to push that a little higher. There's a couple of times when you get really close to the end of the run where his max heal doesn't heal Santis quite enough. So if I were to push his health to say 20k or so, then it would probably do enough of a heal to where it wouldn't be like a little risky at the end there. Defense is about 1372. I had his defense all the way down to like 1100 and it was working just fine as well. So something to keep in mind of, and we'll explain why the lower defense is okay on him. Gear wise, nothing too fancy. You know, we just got some speed with some HP gear here. Nothing crazy. Go into the next character, which is going to be Zatlux. Now, Zatlux, you know, most of you guys are familiar with him. He does do a lot of damage. One thing to know, I do have my Ascension to 2 on him. So when he does kill someone, he gets that attack up for 1 turn. Now, this is only useful with the wave clear, right, guys? Zatlux, his main like aspect or main thing that he's going to do in the Queen of Tides is he's just there for the trash mobs. Those 2 first waves, he's just there to kind of quickly burst them down, kill them, and then he will help a little bit on that right Queen of Tides minion, but it's not like a make it or break it. He basically just needs to be able to kill the waves, okay? So what I did with him is glyph-wise, you'll see he is almost fully glyphed out. This was my weakest point. This is what I really struggled with, honestly, guys. And the reason being is because I did not have enough attack to really make the difference. And also this health, this Titan stuff, health here makes a big difference. I'm gonna be making another video very soon kind of explaining which glyphs that you really need to focus on, which ones you need to really push. And I'm gonna kind of break it down and explain why. So that'll be in the next video, so definitely stay tuned for that. Let's go ahead and show you what I ended up with gear-wise. As you see here, we do have the Rage set. This was just to get his crit rate up, honestly, guys, and that's because we have a crit damage ring on him. And even then, I didn't hit the best of stats. Like, these aren't the best end-of-game stats, and that's because I don't like switching gear. I could switch gear and I could have him at like 260% crit damage with like 4,500 attack and still have decent HP and defense. But what I'd run into is I'd always have to keep swapping back and forth, and I don't want to do it. So I'm trying to figure out ways where I can just complete content as it is and use the gear that I have on them to make it work for later on while I'm farming more and more gear. So currently this is what we got going on. None of my gear is really all that high tier. It's not, we're not talking like this isn't all 6-star gear. I mean, I got a 4-star, 5 stars, a couple 6 stars here. We got a level 6 weapon. We got a level 9 chest. We're not pushing the greatest of gear at all, guys. And stat-wise, we're not pushing that too high either. We're at almost 3K attack. HP is 10K. The big thing to note here is the HP and defense. I had to break that like 950 threshold on defense, so that way Zatlux wouldn't die on the first wave. The 10K health, I mean, that's pretty easy to get, honestly, guys. But what would happen is I had almost 12K health, but my defense was like 950, and I would just wipe on the first wave of trash mobs. They'd come in, they'd counterattack, and they'd wipe out Zatlux, and it'd be done. The run would fail. As soon as I got him above that 950 mark, I think I got him to, I want to say right at like 1,000 and like 5 or something like that. And it worked. It worked. It was still a little sketchy. I got him to 1,050 here, and that seems to make the world of difference. And that was just, I swapped out a couple pieces because my crit rate went too high when I finished up some glyphs here. And then I got that bonus 2%, which still, whatever. We're still at the 72 instead of the 70. But my crit rate was way too high on the piece I had before. I swapped that out, got a little more crit damage, and yeah, it worked out great for me. Moving on, we're going to talk about is Santis here, guys. Now, Santis, the big thing to note here is, and she is in cursed gear. Yes, you're battling the Queen of Tides because you are trying to get cursed gear. All right. So yes, I do understand that that is a thing, and that is something that you're going to be kind of wondering about and thinking about as well. Well, the big thing to note is, yeah, this isn't the greatest of cursed gear. It really isn't. I mean, we're using, like, look at the stats in here, guys. This is a 12. It's got focus. Crappy main stat or flat stats here. This is terrible. I should not have rolled it to 12. The helm's halfway decent helm, with the HP, defense, and the focus. The chest piece, once again, like, we got 2 flat stats here, and then focus and resistance. Not a whole lot going on with this piece of gear. And then we got a speed piece. It's not like these pieces of gear are the major, like, these aren't the bee's knees. These aren't what you're farming for, right? You're looking for better gear than this. So don't let the fact that I already have a curse set on her be a deterrent from like, oh no, this isn't going to work. I don't want to build this set. You definitely do. I've got basic skills or basic abilities on here. The only thing really, really good, I think, is probably this necklace, honestly, because it's got HP and defense on it. Which is pretty helpful, to be fair, because, I mean, Santis, you're not looking for attack. You're looking for sustain. You're looking for high health, high defense, and focus, so that way she just lands all of her poisons, right? But yes, I do have everything upgraded to 12 here. If I go into more stats, you can kind of see I've got only 13K HP, 1,200 defense. So notice, guys, all of my defense characters, or all my characters' defenses are above that like 1K threshold. Something definitely to note here. And HP, not too high at 13K, and that's okay. My focus, I'm at 76% focus, which that's really, really good. My speed is at 188. She's going to be like one of the fastest in the lineup. So yeah, it definitely helped. Glyph wise, you know, we're looking at, I did the defense glyph and, you know, we took the HP and the focus here. Eventually I'll go through and I'll get these other ones, but for now, they're not really needed. All right. Last but not least is going to be Hakrin. Now, the reason why you're going to use Hakrin is because of this right here. So, grants a team-wide defense bonus equal to 10% of this character's defense rating. He also has the, the max health up ability. This also makes a big difference. So what this means is it's literally, so think of Hakrin as like the defense and HP boost, okay? So he gives you a 10% defense boost based upon his defense, and he already has an S rank defense, right, guys? So that's pretty good. Next to that, you have this ultimate ability: deal 150% damage to an enemy and grants max health up to all team members, max 5 stacks. What this means is literally, so a max health up is 15% max HP, and they can go up to 5 times, right, guys? So that's a massive HP boost that he can really do. Ideally, guys, I'd love to see him in a cursed set. I would love to put him in a cursed set and maybe give him a little bit more focus than what I got him. Notice I don't have him in cursed set right now. It's because I didn't have any cursed gear. But the reason why you're bringing him in here is for this defense up and this max HP up. And that's what really makes a difference, is because you're just making everyone tanky, right? Like I was saying, I was able to hit that lower threshold on my defense and use lower tier gear because I brought in Hakrin. Now, if I could get better gear on all my characters, I could take Hakrin completely out of the mix and I could put in like another poisoner. I could put in, you know, someone else like a DPSer, and I'd be able to do so much more damage that this would just fly by really quickly, because right now it's not that fast of a run. But with Hakrin, it does make it possible, and he's really easy to get, guys. You can go fuse him, you can go get him in the synthesis. So he's definitely worth having and definitely worth investing in. I did 60 him, but that was mainly because I was just trying to complete a challenge. I was able to run this just fine with him at 50. Notice I haven't leveled him up to 60, and I'm not going to. I'm going to let him just keep farming and level himself up as we go. But yeah, gear-wise, again, we're not even max gear here, and really we could go up on the defense here, and it could really make our team a lot more tanky. So yeah, I mean, we're not pushing too far. Like I said, I would really like to see curse set here, but it's okay. I didn't get that far, you know, and we did get the 20% on the trait. I happened to pull 3 Hakrins, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me to get him, but it did make a difference. It did help me, especially with completing this challenge. Okay, so without getting into any more detail here, definitely leave comments down below if you need help, if you've got questions about it, like what's working, what's not working. Let's go ahead and go into a run. So what I'm going to do is literally I have Santis, Zatlux, Hakrin, and Blackhorn. I've got Gaia's Renewal. I have the Water Prison, like I said, is basically the most beneficial thing in this fight. And yeah, let's go ahead and get the fight going, and I'll kind of explain to you what I did during the fight, and you know, we'll let it run through, that way you can see about what to expect. So Santis comes in, she plays her poison. It doesn't really matter so much on your turn order for Blackhorn and Santis. I don't really think that matters much at all, to be fair. Big thing to note here, though, is if you go into this target icon on the top there, now this is only present when they have ads on the last boss fight. One thing to note is you definitely want to have this prioritized where elites on the right gets killed first and then the boss. The reason being is because that elite on the right, he does have an ability that'll heal the boss to 30%. And using only 1 poisoner and a half decent DPS, I can't keep up with just targeting the boss. But it's very quick to go ahead and kill him on the right, because he can also be stunned, and the poisons are going to stack really fast. And while they're stacking on him, Santis is actually going to take those poisons and then transfer them over to the boss as well with her A2 ability, I believe. So let's go ahead and go back to the run. Just notice here, guys, we're not doing like, you know, this isn't like the one wave clear, right? Like this isn't a 1 round wave clear. We're slowly progressing this, and that's okay. It's totally fine to be slowly progressing this. Another thing to note is that taunt ability, with that landing for Hakrin, sometimes that's really helpful. I have watched a few of these runs where these guys do get a chance to counterattack like that, right? Well, if one of them is taunted and it only hits Hakrin, it really helps out, because what happens is a lot of my team will just start falling off health-wise. I really do need to progress and get that better gear, but that's the whole reason for getting this video out on the whole Queen level 12 is because, yeah, like you got to be able to farm it to get that good gear, right? So let's go ahead and keep pushing this through. I'm gonna go ahead and probably cut it here, and we will be right back when we're towards the end of the fight. All right, and we're back, guys. So as you can see here, we made it to the final wave on the same battle. Like, this has been about, so far, I think 2.5, almost 3 minutes to get to this point. I didn't want to bore you guys, but one thing to note here, notice all of these debuffs stacking on here, all these poison stacks, and notice how they're moving from the right ad to the the left ad to the boss as well. The biggest thing to note is just that's why this strategy works so well, is because we're doing so many poisons, and that having that curse set on Santis is just doubling all the poisons on there, right? Because it's just giving us more chance to do that A1, which more A1s mean more poison. That poison does have that chance to land the 2 poisons on there, right? So the more she can do, the better it is. So that's why I say, like, if you can get her ascended to 5, this will make this even quicker, because then every single ability she does places those poisons instead of just, the few here and there. It does make a big difference. So notice we almost have this ad killed here, and our team is doing pretty okay. Here's the blessing of the goddess. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier, guys, where she gets so many so many buffs on there, which is really why you need to bring that water spell. That way it just gets rid of those. Like, you don't have to worry about them anymore because she doesn't have them. You know what I mean? Like, when you can remove the buff that's causing you problems, then bada bing, bada boom, problem solved, and you're able to really just quickly progress and get this done. Now we've got the ad done. We're targeting the boss again. Now this should go fairly quickly. Notice, like, she's already gotten the 4 poisons on her within seconds of having the right ad gone. Zatlux isn't doing a whole lot of damage. As you saw there, it's about three down. Big thing to note here also is that attack down from Blackhorn makes a big difference. So if you're trying to theorycraft this on your own, and say, for example, you don't have Blackhorn, definitely want to bring in someone that has an attack down ability, because the attack down helps, because what happens is those waves do so much damage right there. That ability will wipe you if you do not have that attack down and you don't have that consistent attack down. So as we keep going here, you can see here, we've still got the attack down. The poisons are just, they're multiplying, right? We've got all the poisons. Pretty sure she's getting more damage from poisons than that, to be honest with you guys. I don't know exactly how this calculates as far as how many she's at the current moment. I do think it gets a little goofy when it starts calculating them all, but I mean, for the most part, you can see, how many she's getting here. Like that tick there, you saw she got, I think it was 6 or 7 poison damage, and she only has 5 showing on her. But nonetheless, the damage is being done, and notice the HP of my team. They're all staying about the same line there, and they're not going down too much lower than that. And that's the nice thing about this, is because, yeah, this doesn't have the best gear in the game. This, like I showed you, Santis's curse set is terrible. It's an absolutely terrible set, but it's working perfectly fine. And then we've got Hakrin, who's level 50. He's got so much more room for improvement, and he's not even being utilized. Now Zatlux, yeah, my Zatlux build is not that great either. The only one that has decent gear on, honestly, is Blackhorn, and it's just decent because it's just HP gear. So I mean, for the most part, as you can see here, we're basically done with this battle. This is another about 4 minutes or so total, on top of the other 1.5 minutes. So it's about a 5-minute run. This does take some time, but like I said, if you get that Santis up to Ascension 5, you probably won't have any problems. She'll be going to put more and more poisons on there. It's going to knock everyone down quicker, and yeah, it's going to make a big difference in the battle. So I hope that helped you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for hanging out until the very end. I do appreciate you, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.